layout to share with you using my Kill a Kit for the month of June, which features a ton of LA Studio products. I'm sorry for the banging in the background. We are currently in the process of boxing up school books and computers, and but I want to get this voiceover done so I can get this video up. So I sat down with a cup of coffee, and that's what the banging is in the background. So I'm showing you here how I went through all of my LA Studio products. What I did was, off camera, before I started creating this layout, was I cut things down to manageable sizes. Scraps of paper that maybe had things punched out of them, stuff like that. I made them into actually like just usable scraps. So I cut things down to squares and rectangles. Now I'm going through everything and I'm just picking what I want to use on this layout. I'm going to create a layout to go along with a challenge that Christina gave us in our Rediscover Your Stash Spending Freeze group. And that was to use, it was called the Sticker Sneeze Challenge, so you were supposed to use a lot of stickers. I end up using 183 stickers on this layout, and yes, I did count them. So I'm just flipping through everything, picking my products, picking my color palette. I'm going to go with these greens and teal, or greens and aqua and yellow colors. So for this layout, I'm going to be using a sketch. It's a sketch from a book by Christine Davidson called Just Sketches. It's volume 1. And so I'm not going to show you the sketch because it's part of that book, but I love the sketches in that book. So if you haven't checked that out yet, I would highly recommend that sketchbook. So I'm cutting some 2x2 squares. I have, during this month, you're going to see me using a lot of sketches on my layouts from different places because of some very stressful things going on with my family. When I have the time to sit down and scrapbook, I have been wanting to just sit down and not have to think too much, if that makes sense. And a sketch is a great way to provide that for me. So anything that's not a design team layout, that I can just kind of sit down and use the sketch, or even my design team layouts have mostly been just like go-to designs for me. I'm trying to keep my scrapbooking, for me, easy so I can just sit down and create and enjoy the creative process. Because that seems to be what I'm doing these days. So I'm cutting all of these squares, all of my papers, down to 2x2 squares. So all these squares are getting inked up with some Hickory Smoke Distress ink, and then I'm placing them into a grid design, which you'll see here. And they fit fairly well. I'm going to use my ruler, these, to keep things in line. This layout is going to involve a lot of rulers because I want, so this layout turns out to be fairly simple, but I want things to be straight and linear. And the thing is, when you're creating something like this where you're not going to have a ton of embellishments, you're not using a lot of crazy techniques, you need those lines to be very straight. So I'm going to go ahead and use my ruler to kind of straighten those lines and keep them to the grid design that I want. You can see here how I'm using my ruler to go ahead and make that bottom portion straight. And then you see there's a gap between where my photo is and the top part of my layout. And then there's the bottom grouping of squares, and there is a gap in between. So I wanted to add a little bit of color, and of course, no cutting is ever perfect. So there are a little bit of squidgy edges across the bottom of my layout, or across that bottom portion of squares. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim up this branding strip, which is from one of the papers, and I'm going to ink it up and place it right across the bottom there. And now it's time to fill in that gap with letter stickers. So these are LA Studio white letter stickers. I have gobs and gobs and gobs of them. If you saw my How to Kill a Kit with Style video, my kit share video, you know how many packs of these I have. And so I'm just going to show you how I'm going to start this process. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by making a nice straight line, and I'm grabbing letters like Z and Y and U and all that. But eventually, when I start to fill this in, I am using any kind of letter I can think of to do it. Any kind of letter that I think can work will work. So I'm just taking the white letters and I'm placing them on the white background, and you can see them, and they make a fabulous texture and a really neat kind of texture to finish off that portion of the layout. And then I'm going to come in with a set of another color of these same stickers to do my title and to date my layout as well. And so I think this is a fabulous way to create a sticker sneeze without it looking too busy or too sticker sneezery. Does that make sense? So I'm just going to continue on here. I'm on the bottom portion of my the bottom row of letter stickers, the white letter stickers, and I'm using my ruler to keep that bottom row straight. And of course, putting down letter stickers is a bit like watching paint dry, so I'm not going to make you watch this entire process, but you get the idea of how I'm filling in this area with the white letter stickers. And then on each line, I have a section of letters that are in a different color, and they spell out my title. So now I'm going to go ahead and start my embellishing, and I'm just going to use these two sets of puffy stickers, and I'm not going to add a lot, just a little bit. So there are just a couple phrases that I think will work really well, and I like these plus signs mixed with the stars as some icons and as a different kind of way of looking at things. So I'm just adding little bits and pieces here and there. I'm sticking to the colors that I have in my background papers. I'm going to create 3 little areas of embellishments around my photo and around my title. And that will pretty much complete this layout. So nice and easy one to start off with. But again, I was able to use 183 stickers on this layout. So if the kit you're working with this month is loaded up on alphabet stickers, you can go ahead and use this technique to help use up some of those stickers. Alphabet stickers are not just for titles. As you can see here, they can make a wonderful kind of tone-on-tone textured large element to your page. And if you're worried about wasting them, you know, I could have continued to do the grid and did the squares right there with all of that paper. And had I done that, you wouldn't have thought, well, she wasted a lot of paper. So of course, using them like letter stickers to fill in that gap in there is just another way to showcase some of your product that you have a lot of and to get some of it used up. I'm just going to add a little bit of extra glue there because that little piece was popping up and I wasn't quite keen on that. And that's going to complete this layout for today. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this process video. I'd love for you to give it a thumbs up. I'd love to hear any comments you have, and I will see you again soon with a new Kill a Kit with Style layout. Bye!